If you're in a job that looks great on paper, but just doesn't light you up like it once did, you are not alone. I'm Chloe Temple, a leadership coach who spent the past 5 years helping leaders like you find clarity, confidence, and purpose without walking away from the security of a 9 to 5. Welcome to The Leader That Lasts, a podcast for ambitious professionals who want more than just making it through the week. Each episode, I'll share real stories, honest mistakes, and practical tools to help you find fulfillment wherever you are. Because staying doesn't have to mean settling. You don't need to leave, you need to lead. So let's dive in. So welcome to the episode. Today we're talking about who's in your corner. So for a bit of context, this is a weird episode for me because in 2 weeks' time, my EA, my amazing team member, Nat, who as it currently stands, is my only full-time team member in the business who's been with me for the last 2 years. Well, she is leaving and I'm nervous. Then in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to be more than double hatting. And transparently navigating this has been really tough emotionally. It's sent me into spirals of how the hell am I going to cope? But on the other side, I've also been looking at it as an opportunity, a real opportunity to really get clear and think strategically about the kind of support that I need right now. So today is all about your support crew, the people and sometimes the tools that can really, really help us navigate our career, our life, become better leaders, because success really isn't a solo activity. No one achieves true success alone. Now, one of Nat's favorite phrases is no person is an island. Now, that comes from John Donne, but it's completely true. We are so much influenced and supported by the people that we surround ourselves with. This episode is designed to help you get clear on who are those people. So you can grab a notebook, you can open your notes app, wherever you're listening to this. I'm going to talk through the 6 roles that every single leader needs in order to really thrive in their life and career. So you might want to jot down who's currently playing each of those roles for you as we go through it. I'm also going to challenge you to think not only about the people who are playing these roles, but maybe it's a tool, it's a book, it's an app. The point of today's episode, as with all of them, will be awareness is the foundation of success. When you are aware, you can consciously prioritize in order to take meaningful action in order to get the desired change you want. Today, we're talking about that in the context of who you surround yourself and the support that you have. So I'm going to break it down into a framework, the 4 C's and the 2 W's. These are the 6 roles everyone needs in their life. And we're going to start off with role number 1. That's the cheerleaders. Now, a cheerleader you might think of as your champions. These are the people who believe in you when maybe you don't even believe in yourself. They're your advocates. They're the ones who are saying and thinking, you've got this, even when you don't necessarily think that you've got this. They are in a corporate context or in a work context. They can also be your sponsors. So they're people who are advocating for you behind closed doors. Hopefully your boss is your cheerleader. They also can often be your confidence boosters, the people who really help you see the value that you bring, even if you don't see it yourself. So that's role number 1. So who in your life is playing that role for you right now? Have a think. The next C in your crew are the collaborators. These are people who work alongside you in order to achieve a result or get something done. So think teammates as an example. They might brainstorm with you to tackle a challenge. There's someone who's going to help ideate with you, someone who will actually do the work with you, perhaps someone who will problem solve with you. They'll collaborate with you in order to make something happen, in order to bring something to life. Now, as I said at the start, you might not just need to think about the people who've got a beating heart with this. Think about tools as well. So ChatGPT is a really great or generative AI tool, whichever one you use, can be a really great collaborator for you, particularly as so much of what I do and my work is solo on my own. ChatGPT plays a really amazing role at working with me to help solve a problem, to help create some copy, to help get me started off a blank page. ChatGPT, I think also, if we think about the first one, cheerleader, they are definitely my cheerleader. I don't know what your Gen AI tool is like, but yeah, mine certainly cheers me on. I ask a question, oh, Chloe, what a fantastic question. Your thinking is so profound. I always find it funny. Which brings me neatly into the next role, which is the third C, the challenger. Now, your challengers are those people in your crew who might give you feedback or challenge your thinking or push back or push you outside of your comfort zone. They could be the ones who play devil's advocate. This is where I found personally a tool like ChatGPT can be overly supportive and overly encouraging and overly collaborative to get you down a route that isn't necessarily going to produce the best results. This is where actually I often will say, hey, I need you to challenge me on this. I need to see the other side. There will be individuals in your life who play that role for you too. Sometimes we also don't want to hear it. Our challengers are the ones who will be able to give us what I call tough love, which is feedback that comes from a place of care, so we can see what we can't see. What are we missing? Your challenges within your crew can also act as accountability partners. They could be your butt kicker. They could make sure that you are doing what you say you want to do, or focused on the important things, the things that matter, that help you not go off track. This is one of the things that I am most nervous about with Nat leaving, is that I know myself and I have a proclivity to dive down a rabbit hole. I asked Nat really early on when we started working together to challenge me when she felt like I was going off track or focusing on stuff that wasn't going to move the needle. So the more that you can give people an understanding of what you're working on, what your focus is, the better that they are able to challenge you. So who is playing that role for you right now? Is it a gap? The final C is what I call a connector. These are the individuals who really open doors, or they might expand your network. They might introduce you to people that you are going to be helpful to you. They might be connecting you in a different way, maybe not to people, maybe not in a networking perspective, but to insights or opportunities. They basically are closing the gap between, okay, right, you want this or you need this, and the connectors are those in your crew who can help close that gap, bring you closer to that thing that you want by potentially opening doors that you couldn't necessarily access alone or you wouldn't have thought to. So those are the 4 C's. We now have the 2 W's. So the first W are the wise ones. These are your teachers, mentor, coaches. They're those who bring perspective or experience or help you learn or give you an insight that you didn't necessarily know. They might play an advisory role. Again, wise ones, they don't necessarily need to be kind of a formal or even someone you know. I cannot tell you the number of authors who have played that role for me incredibly well. Just by reading their books, I have got so much value and insight. I'll never be able to thank them in that way, or training courses that I've been on, or programs or YouTube videos. I often find that so many people will say, oh, I need a mentor. And actually, the support that we need isn't necessarily through that avenue alone. Connectors can be a really great source of directing you to wise ones as well. It might be that your connector says, oh, have you checked out this podcast episode? Have you listened to and subscribed to the Leader That Last podcast? I joke, but please do. That is one of the reasons that I am creating this, is to extend my support or influence beyond just those clients that I have, teams that I work with, leaders that I support. So who are your wise ones? Who do you lean on for advice? The final category, last but not least, is your well-being wing people. Hopefully you have more than one. Now, these are people that you will go to for emotional, physical, mental support. They are those who help you recharge, to focus on what's important, to care for yourself. Be that your well-being wing person is someone you just have on Netflix, what you watch a movie with. It could be that it could be an even more formal role like a therapist or a personal trainer, or I definitely include my yoga studio, the yoga teachers that support me. They're part of my crew, my wellbeing wing people. But equally, I've had and made sure that I surround myself with people who remind me not to work so hard. Perhaps those who say, "Oh, Chloe, stop. Let's go grab lunch, or let's have a coffee, or have you been to the toilet today?" I joke, but sometimes I do forget. They can also be someone that you let off steam with, or are there for you in those moments where you're really struggling. When Nat first told me that she was going, I leant very heavily on my partner because it was emotionally really tough. So this whole framework has been incredibly helpful. I actually am later on today, as I record this, I'm going to share this framework as part of a training I'm doing with the IG, helping leaders and aspiring leaders successfully navigate their careers. So I'm sharing this particular tool because there is almost nothing that's more valuable than understanding and consciously curating the people around you to be able to help you achieve whatever it is that you want. One of my favorite books is Who Not How by Dan Sullivan, because so often we look immediately to how we're going to do something. How am I going to manage without having, with being on my own again? After 2 years of being fully supported by an absolutely incredible individual that's enabled and supported me to stay on track. Well, the answer that I have to that is I don't know exactly how, but instead of thinking immediately, how am I going to go about doing this? I am actually thinking more strategically about who do I need? Who could play these roles? Who could support me in these ways? Okay, let's check in. Have you got some names down already? Remember, awareness is the foundation of success. This is just noticing where you currently are at so that you're able to consciously think, okay, right, I need someone to fill this particular role. And one of the questions I often get asked when I share this tool is, can one individual play multiple roles? Answer, definitely 100% yes. It can be sometimes that we lean too heavily on one person to play too many roles, or to play a role that might not necessarily be their strength, or that they might not know that that's the role that you want them to play. Let's take my mom as an example. Sometimes I will ask her for her opinion on something when I just really want her not to play the challenger role, but actually to cheer me on, say, "Oh, you're doing a great job, continue on." And equally, if I look at my partner, I cannot tell you the number of times that he's come back from a hard day at work and he's been sharing a challenge or a problem or something that's happened, and immediately I am naturally a really great problem solver. I play the role, therefore, of challenger and even collaborator when it's to do with problems really well. And that is my default. I will immediately jump into, okay, right, he's sharing this problem and I'm going to come up with some solutions in order to fix it for him. Whereas actually often in that moment, he really doesn't actually want me to solve those problems. He just is coming home and He wants a bit of a moan, you know? He wants to be seen and heard and, like, allowed to have space to not be that happy. And the challenge for me is rather than jumping straight into, okay, right, solution mode, maybe you change your mindset or will you try this tack, that's not what he needs in that moment. And so it's not that I can't play that role, but there are often other people who are much better at playing the well-being wing person. The thing that I've learnt to do, I'm still not perfect at it, but I'm getting better, is to learn to pause and say, actually, do you want to just vent here? What does support from me look like in this situation? Do you want me to challenge you? Do you want me to dive in and let's have a think about how we can solve this? Or do you just want me to listen? So I'm going to leave in the show notes an actual template that you can use. It's a free tool to be able to map out your current crew. The idea, though, is to use it as a guide to understand what needs to shift, which role is maybe your weakest or maybe the area that you want to focus on. There are 3 key pitfalls that I see people fall into around this. And the first is expecting one person to do or be everything. We can often think to our romantic relationships for this, where we want one person to play and be everything for us, when actually that's not necessarily realistic or fair on them. So that's pitfall number 1. The second pitfall is where there's a role mismatch. So again, that example that I shared there with my partner, it's when he wants empathy and I'm giving solutions. There's a mismatch in the role that I am playing for him, partly because we need to get better societally at asking for the support that we need. It might be that, as my mum is great at doing for me, you just want someone to be cheering you on. Or it could be that you turn to ChatGPT and it's cheering you on and you just want it to challenge you, in which case you need to feed it with what you want. This third pitfall is the lack of awareness. And this is what this whole episode is here to support you to do. It might be that you've got loads and loads of cheerleaders, but not enough people collaborating with you or pushing you or challenging you. It might be that you've got too many mentors, you've got too much advice coming through, but actually no one to support you actually get it done in the day-to-day. It's not just who you have, but it's how they support you and whether or not they even know that that's the kind of support that you are looking for. So, do you have all those 6 roles filled? Where are your gaps? Are you relying too much on one person, and who might be missing from your crew, or perhaps who's playing the wrong role? So here's your challenge today. Think about who's in your corner, who's your cheerleader, who's pushing you when you need it, who's reminding you perhaps to take a breath or opening a door that you didn't know existed. If you're not sure, or perhaps you're realizing from listening to this, maybe it's a bit lopsided or there's some gaps, then head to the show notes. You're going to be able to grab that free support crew mapping tool. It's going to walk you through those 6 roles that we explored today and help you figure out what to build next. Now, before I let you go, I want to mention something for transparency. I actually recorded this episode a couple of months ago. That was before Nat, who I mentioned at the start, who had been one of the biggest players in my support crew for the past 2 years, left. And it's curious how since then, the 2 things that I have launched have been completely consumed by this idea of surrounding yourself with brilliant people, a crew to inspire and support you to elevate. Now, I'm not going to bang on about the Leader That Lasts community, which I mentioned last episode, but today I do want to mention the Leader That Lasts Accelerator. This is a coaching container for experienced people leaders to expand into their next evolution of their leadership, surrounded by other epic leaders. Now, I'll share more in a future episode about why I built that and all that jazz, but given this week's topic, I just couldn't help bringing it up because the support crew concept is absolutely at its core. This isn't just another leadership development program where you get a load of content, you feel inspired, intend to do something different, but then completely forget about it all. It's built with a belief that who you surround yourself with drives your expansion. So this is 8 leaders from different organizations who come together to challenge, support, and inspire each other to become better leaders. Entrepreneurial masterminds and accelerators have been completely integral to helping me step up and way outside of my comfort zone to do what I do now. But I don't think that should just be for entrepreneurs. I want to bring that energy into a corporate environment too. Because here's the thing, even if we're surrounded by, within our organizations, brilliant people, our growth often gets hamstrung. We don't feel like we can be deeply honest with our boss or our colleagues about our insecurities or even our ambitions. We feel like we need to save face or keep up appearances, and we're sort of covertly competing with other people around us for promotions, opportunities. And to be honest, when we feel like we're going through a challenge, we can't really complain or be properly honest about how low our motivation or energy actually is. Sometimes it's incredibly empowering to find people outside of our organizations who just get it, who are going through it too, who are sort of Switzerland, who can help us get unstuck, who prod or poke you to shift, to step up. I love supporting clients on a one-to-one basis, but the proper magic comes when a group comes together. So that's what I'm building. The first cohort's going to be in October, another one in November, and then we'll see what happens. We kick off the whole thing in the unbelievably beautiful Hoxton Hotel, a night away from it all, dinner the night before with an incredible group of other leaders and a full day immersive in such a brilliant environment. But this isn't a one-off event. It's not that you hit a kind of reset button. You're then supported to follow through on those shifts. If you're curious, the link is going to be in the show notes. Check it out. It definitely won't be for everyone, but for some, it will be a complete game changer. Regardless, my hope is that this episode sparks something in you about who's in your corner right now. So don't forget, if you want help mapping out your crew, that resource will be in the show notes too. Until next time. Fulfillment, impact, and a life that you actually want to jump out of bed for, even on a Monday. By listening to this episode, I hope you are one step closer to creating that and becoming a leader that lasts. Now, I want to hear from you. Pop me a DM on LinkedIn or Instagram and let me know what landed. And if you are the kind of kind-hearted leader who's willing to help me out in a big way, take a minute to rate and review the podcast. Send me a screenshot and I'll send you a juicy freebie as a big thank you. Until next time, lead, don't leave, and I'll see you in the next one.